Kia ora whānau. How are we going? Another episode of Dr. Phil. Nah. Have received some more messages, whānau, about ego. How did I come to identify my ego, and what happened after leaving. And I know I keep talking about all this shit, but there's a lot of guys that are stuck there. So that's the reason I share all this stuff, because there's a lot of guys that are stuck once where I was stuck. So carrying on from the last one, this will be part 3. Once I decided to leave out the front door. And so I got to that point, and then I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like, oh. And so I knew that I had to go back to earning a living, earning a wage, the proper way. And so I went back to mahi. And while going back to mahi after living that life for a long time, never really having anyone oppose what I had said for such a long time, go back into the workforce, holy shit, what a wake-up call that was. Going back to work, and my first job, I went through pretty quick, because I didn't even know what an ego was and all that sort of stuff, I just thought the way I was the way I was, and I knew that I was trying to change, and I wanted to be different and all that. And then these are all things that you learn along the way while you're wanting change, if you're wanting change. And I got to my first job, and as a digger operator, and I worked for a company, and I was working for a temp agency, and then I worked for a company, and they just said, oh, well, if I can take you on after 3 months, rah, rah, rah. And I was like, no choice, get a fucking pay rise, get this, get that. And then when that fell through, I was like, hey. And because I had lived a life of holding people to their word, I was like, motherfucker. You now are not following through on what you said. So I got hoha on it, and I was like, oh, fuck. And so I actually wanted to give some fellas a dong. And so yeah, that job fell through pretty quick. And so then I went to my second job. So that first job lasted about 3 or 4 months. And then the second job I got into, and it was actually quite good. I actually enjoyed it, and I was the civil foreman, and I found while working, I was taking orders from people and shit like that. Now, you got to understand that I didn't really take orders for a long time. I just did whatever I wanted, really. And so taking orders off people, and I was like, hey, and not so much orders, like just being told, this is what we're doing, and we're doing it this way and that. And I was like, oh, don't fucking tell me what to do, bro. I'm not fucking taking orders from you. I'm not fucking listening to you. Because in my head, I was still the man, sort of, I was like, hey, bro, in my head it was like a patch member telling me what to do. And I was like, bro, fuck, I'll give you a hiding, boy. Now, I'm just being real, all right? And I found myself like biting my tongue so many times, like, oh, fuck. And it got to a point where another foreman was, what I thought, undermining me, disrespecting me, and I was like, fuck. So I ended up giving him a dong. And then fair to say that I lost that job too. So I lost. When it all happened, you know, I was fucking amped and pumped up, and because I felt had been disrespected, so give him a bit of a whack, and then because violence was a normal part of life in that world, like a fight's nothing, like giving someone a whack is nothing. It's just normal. So I didn't see anything wrong with it. I just thought, fuck, if this fella's gonna overstep my line, he's gonna get punched back. That's just it. That's just the way I roll, and that's just it. And so when he done that, and I give him a whack, and then we had to go through the process of people writing statements and stuff on what had happened and this and that, and they actually shut the whole work site down and all this sort of fucking carry on, and it was just over a slap. And I never really got it. I never really got, like, why it was so bad. I was like, fuck, I only give him a slap, bro. What's wrong with you fellas? Like, yeah, we had to sit down with the boss and do all this shit, and I just never got it. I was like, fuck, man, it was just a tickler. Fuck, it's not as if I smashed him with a shovel or something. Like, you know, like, it was nothing. And so I lost my job, and then that's when I really had to, I went home and I was like, fuck, I actually liked that job and I fucking lost it. And I was like, far out. What the heck? Right, so you're actually not allowed to just smack people if they're a dick to you, because that's the way that I lived my life right up until like 30. I'm 39 now. I lived like that right up to like 33. You know, like, if I thought you disrespected me, that was it. It was on. Like, fuck, let's have a rumble. And then, yeah. And so coming to terms with that, I was like, fuck. And then that started the whole turning inwards thing. I was like, hey, like, what's wrong with, like, why do I take everything so to heart like that? And so I did a little bit of groundwork within myself. Like, it made me start looking at my behaviors and the way that I carried myself. And then I got another job. I got a third job as civil foreman as well with the company. And then this time I felt I was doing the work of 3 or 4 people, as most people do. They think, you think you're doing more than what you actually are. And so what came across my head was, wow, fucking I should be paid more. You know, like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and doing this. And so I got like a nudge in my guts, bro, you need to go and ask the boss for a fucking pay rise. I thought, oh yeah, fuck it. I want to go ask him for a pay rise. And then rang the boss up. I was like, hey, I think we should have a chat. Fuck, rah. So we went and had a chat. And I was like, oh, yeah, have pay rise. I've been here. I think I'd been with that company, the third company, for about 6 months, maybe. And I just found myself doing a lot. And I was like, okay. And then it was, oh, yeah, well, leave it with me. I'll have a chat and I'll get back to you. And I was like, oh, yeah, sweet. So I left it, and then a week went past, and I was like, man, this motherfucker hasn't got back to me. Like, and in my books, that was disrespectful, because he wasn't doing what I thought he should be doing. And so then I let it pass for another day or two, and then the anger started to build inside me, like, fuck. And I started telling myself stories like, bro, fucking these fellas think you're a joke, bro. Fucking these fellas are not taking you serious. So on come the macho boots and the big cape again, and fucking into the boss's office. Hey, cunt, fucking. And before I knew it, I had lost my third job. And I just thought, fuck, holy shit, like my temper, like, I'm just angry. My temper's just getting me in trouble all the time. Like, far out. It's just, like, living a straight life is just not for me. You know, I thought, fuck, it's just, like, I don't fit in. People are different to me. And it's just, it's hard. Because it makes you look at yourself. And now from the previous job, I already started to look at myself. And then when this happened again, and then I was like, hey, fuck. Why is this happening? Like, it can't be everyone out here. It's got to be me. It has to be me. It's got to be me. So I started to dive back into myself and started asking myself fucking questions again, like, why did you really think that you needed that pay rise? Like, what made you think that he should pay you more, you know? And then I started placing myself in other people's shoes, like, fuck, imagine if some cunt just walked up to me like that, like, like, you wouldn't get a nice fucking reception. And the reception that I was getting off these, what at that time I called normal people, was they were actually being nice to me. Like, it was my ego that thought that I deserve this, I deserve that, I should have this, I'm entitled to that, I'm still the fucking man. And so, what are we up to? Job number 4? Job 1, 2, 3, yeah. Job number 4. So job number 4. And keep in mind, I'm working on myself, you know, but slowly coming to the realization of what the ego is and what fuels me to do things, and what was driving me to take that anger road and just take things by force, you know. And so on the fourth job, I was making progress, and then the same thing, the old fucking ego kicked in again, and it was just like, hey, I have this feeling like I'm starting to repeat what had happened from the last job. Like, why is this anger coming up? Why am I this and why am I that? So then that's when I decided to stop telling myself I'm entitled to shit, because you're not entitled to nothing, you know? And so then I started putting little steps in place, like if we were traveling to a site, I would sit in the back. Like, you know, my ego would say, you either drive or you take the front seat. Like, you know, we don't sit in the back for fucking nobody. So I started going against that. And when I was thinking, I started doing the opposite. Like, hold on, what do I think I should do? Like, I should sit in the back and humble myself and let, you know, like, just humble myself and don't think that I automatically should take seat number 1, you know. And so I started putting myself in seat number 3 and 4, and then just like sitting back, and that's when the emotions were coming in, and like I was sitting with the like I would get angry and stuff, and I'll sit with it and be like, why? Like, why am I getting, why? Just because he's driving and he's in the front. And then I would go back to, yeah, but you're the foreman, bro. You should be fucking doing this. You should be doing that. And so that voice inside that was saying, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, and you should be this, you should be that, I started not listening to it. I started thinking, nah, fuck that. I listened to that voice so many times, and it's got me in trouble. It has got me in trouble. Like, if I felt disrespected, the first thing I would think of is just fuck him, just hammer this fella. And so I started doing the opposite. Like, if I felt I had been disrespected, I would just sit with it and be like, well, why am I feeling like that? Just because he said that in a tone that I thought is not acceptable. Like, and I started, like, then I had to put a bigger line in the sand and be like, hold on, I'm still in the mentality of, like, being in a club. I still had the mentality like that, like, hold on, I'm not letting anyone talk to me like this, talk fucking. And so that was the pivotal point. It was like, well, it had been leading up, and then taking the mask off, unveiling yourself, like taking that macho thing off, even though you don't think you have it, but your ego wants to be recognized. Your ego wants praise. Your ego never thinks it's fucking wrong. Your ego can either get you in trouble or keep you too safe. What do I mean by too safe? Like, it keeps you comfortable. Like, it won't, like, you just, like, you'll come up with reasons in your head why you shouldn't do stuff. Like, I shouldn't do that, shouldn't do this, and I shouldn't do that. And so, once I started to identify that, then I started to look into it and actually started to read about what is the ego? Like, fuck, what is that thing? And you can actually learn a lot on YouTube. There's a lot of good people on YouTube that have been through all this stuff, and they can help you identify things within yourself if you've got an open mind to it. Like, if you're willing to, like, if you see a problem, well, not a problem, like, you see something within yourself that you want to change. Because I didn't like being angry. I don't like being angry. I don't. There's no good that comes of it. And so I wanted to find ways to not be angry anymore. And I found what was fueling it. And it was the ego. And I was like, started looking into it. What fuels the ego? And then I started applying it to my life. Like, okay, if I got a feeling of, and then I would think about it and be like, hold on. Is this me wanting recognition, or I think he should be doing something, or I think this, or I think that? Like, I should just let it be. Like, you're just a normal person like everyone else, Hamish. Why do you think why do you put yourself up here and put everyone down here? And I never knew that I'd done that until I come to the realization of what the ego was. And, and learning about the ego really helped me identify things moving forward. If I had a thought of, it should be like this, and then I'm like, hold on, is that my ego, or is that really what I think? And it takes a lot of practice, because, like, you can learn all this stuff, but then when you're in the fight, which I mean, like, you're feeling like, it's really hard to apply it. It's hard to apply the new teachings while you're in the fight, and you're not going to get it every time. I sure as shit didn't. I'd like to say now that I can catch myself 9 times out of 10. I can now be like, nah, I don't choose anger. I choose love. And if you're a member that, like, you're a guy that's left that world and you're following this sort of thing, and you're going to be like, hey, love, fucking fag, what do you mean, love? If you treat everything with an open heart and love, and be a server, be of service to people, you'll find that the ego won't disappear. It definitely won't disappear, but you will find it easier to counteract it and be like, nah. I choose love, man. I choose peace. I choose love. Like, why am I even taking this to heart? Like, everything in life, we are the ones that give it the meaning. Everybody gives their own meaning behind things. Like, for example, a slap back then was nothing. To people that haven't lived that life, any sort of violence is just like, whoa, far out, what is going on? Like, and so that's what I mean. People give things a different meaning. Like, Yeah. And so when you can identify your ego, it will progress you on to the next thing, which mine, was like love, acceptance, and that the ego led me down a path of acceptance. And this is a whole different other post, but you start going down, like, you hear things like loving yourself and forgiving yourself and things like that. And I never really knew what that meant until I had been through those jobs, started turning inside and started looking at myself and the way that I behave, the macho-ness and all that sort of shit. Like, and then, like, treat thy neighbor, love your neighbor, right? You treat people how you want them to treat you. And so once I started taking all this on board, like, I'm not the main character of this world. I'm just a little part of this world. Then like, my mind started to open, my heart started to open, and I found the more that I worked on these things, life got easier in a way, like once you identify things within yourself that needs work, and once you work on it, something else always pops up. Like, it's a journey. Life's a journey, and it's about finding yourself, finding the authentic you. And it's past traumas and past experiences that end up on your lap that you identify to, fuck. And then that will lead you down a path of being unattached to things, your emotions, how to deal with your emotions. It's just a massive, massive journey. And I think I'm going to leave it there. It's to do with the ego and coming to the realization of what the ego is and what actually fuels the ego. And those voices inside, you've got the ego, and then you have the authentic you, your higher self. And this journey leads you all the way down, and you learn these things along the way. And the reason I share is because when I was going through it, like, I thought there was something wrong with me. Like, fuck, everybody else seems like they got their fucking head on straight. Why am I the only one that's just fucking not, like, I'm not getting it? And like, you start thinking that you don't fit in. You don't fit in. This world's not for me. But it's all the shit that we've put on our laps and we've identified to, and we've just, like, your past experiences have made you that way. But you've got to come to a point where you turn in and you start unpacking all that shit, and you start realizing that the world's working for you, not to you. Yeah. I'm going to leave it there. I hope it helps. Yeah. And, like, these posts are not for, oh, Hamish, you're awesome, you're this, you're that. Like, I don't care about that. It is to help anyone that is feeling a bit lost, is, like, trying to find their way. And if parts of these talks resonate with you, I encourage you to look deeper into yourself, because there is a happier version inside of yourself, your authentic self, that wants to be revealed, and it wants to be loved and everybody wants to be loved and accepted, right? But that doesn't come from out here. It comes from in here. You have to love and accept yourself first and foremost. Yeah. So that's, like, I teach, well, I don't teach, well, I don't know if I teach, but to look inwards, to turn in, and don't get validation out here, and don't get, like, You don't need people's validation. You just need to find yourself. And here. Oh, here. Somewhere there. All right, Father, I'm going to leave it there. Love, light, and happiness. And I wish you well on your journey. And I hope you find your peace and your joy, because life can be like that. But you got to be willing to do the work. Let's go. Kia ora whanau.